Coach MacKay is with Canada Basketball, and he's a frequenter. This is the first time we've had him virtually here. This is the sixth time out of our 14 years of running this clinic that Coach Mike has been with us here, and we're very happy to have him for his little bit of time here, and we'll have Coach Victor will finish us for the afternoon just following Mike here. So, Mike, nice to see you again. I haven't seen you in person in a while.
Yeah, it's always good, Adam. Always good.
Good. Always good. So good to hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Good.
You can bump my screen off. I think you maybe already have with your screen. And his topic is going to be basketball spacing rules for today's game. Mike likes to ad lib a lot of stuff inside of this, so I'm sure this topic will flow around that.
We're going to go fast and furious. So get your question and answer chat ready, Adam, because I'm going to challenge people to think, which is what I always want to do. So first of all, great to be here. Always love my trips to Winnipeg, so glad we can do it virtually. And I'm just going to share some ideas about, again, some things that we're seeing in the game, and I think that we want to be leaders in, not followers. So I always like a little bit of history. And if you look on the left picture, that's from 1985. That's Villanova versus Georgetown. That was the last NCAA men's game with no three-point line and no shot clock. And now we look at an NBA game from 2023. And if you look at the spacing, I mean, I think I counted, 6 players in the key. And if you took every possession, you'd probably see the same thing. This is not just me searching for that one possession. That's what it was like on pretty well every possession. And then you look at today's NBA with the spacing, we see really one offensive player in the key, and then we see, 2 defensive players, one running in, one running out. And my premise is that the solutions that players have to solve the problems that the game presents are different. And I like to talk now a lot about solutions rather than skills. I think we get too caught up sometimes in this idea of a skill. But if the skill doesn't lead to a solution, I'm not sure it's really applicable and it's going to transfer to the game. And the one I'm really going to focus on today is passing, especially off the dribble. And you can see back in 1985, there was no real such thing as penetrate and kick. Well, you couldn't penetrate because there's no space. So we didn't do a lot of stuff off penetration and kick. Also, the rules on dribbling were different as far as what you could get away with carrying the ball. So everything was tight. You couldn't really play with the ball. You couldn't really get big advantages. But as the rules changed and opened up the freedom, what you could do off the dribble, three-point line, now penetration becomes such a greater issue. So we're going to look at some of these things and see what happens. So here, this was just a clinic that Victor and myself did out in BC. And all I asked the players to do was, I want you to warm up, dribble around, connect with someone by calling names, making eye contact, show a target, and make a pass. And this is what it looked like and sounded like. I wish I was live because, me, I'd stop and ask questions and get you to think, and I'll have to do this virtually. But the observation, it should be obvious, is every dribble was basically a stop, pull the ball to the middle of the chest, and throw a chest pass. Everything was a chest pass off the dribble. And in today's game, with the way defense is played, that really limits what you're able to do. So what I want to look at is how the game is being played off the dribble now. This is from last night's game, or Wednesday night's game. But if you look at up in the top left, we see Kelsey Plum. First of all, she's doing a step back, drop pivot, and then it's a throw with one hand. But my premise is that step back and then a pivot, pick the ball up with 2 hands and then pass is slow. Now, the throw I like, because I think you have to be able to throw the ball now, not push the ball. Look at her down here in the bottom. Look how much quicker to make a reversal pass. Now, granted, Kelsey Plum is left-handed, so she's much more likely to throw the hook pass going left than she is going right. My contention, too, is if she's exposed to this at a younger age, she'll be able to make that pass both left and right. But the quickness of the pass is crucial. In the top one, I cut the video off, but they were able to get a pass sorry, in the bottom right. In the top left, yeah, there's a fumble, but even if the ball wasn't fumbled, I'm not sure the pass is there because the defense can recover. And the more you allow defense to quickly recover to get back into good position, the more you lose your advantage. So the quickness of passing is very, very important. This next one is this ability to pass off dribble. So we look at the top left. I call this an extension, and then there's a throw. And that throws like a sidearm pass, and it gets there so much faster. If she had to pass off the middle of her chest she would have to pivot, fake, up pivot, back pivot, and all those things, because that's Jonquil Jones jumping out to put pressure. The bottom right is one of my favorites. This is Johannes from the Liberty, and this hook pass. Look at the speed of this pass. And what I would contend is in today's game, when she turns this corner off the pick and roll, she needs to be able to find all four players with a pass quickly. And she should be able to do that off the dribble. And I could contend because she can throw that hook, she can throw a baseball pass to the corner, she can throw a quick extension, she can throw a little snap pass to the person cutting in the top. This is the type of passing we have to have. This ability to hit all four players who are spaced. And again, in the women's game, chest passing is a slow push, and a lot of the players just don't have the strength or the angles to get it there with a push. So we need to be able to come up with ways to pass the ball quicker, faster. Now, this first one up in the top left, you can see this is just a quick push, but there's a snap, and it's quick. But this ability to quickly push and snap the ball is very, very important. Most players at the female level that I'm working with at younger age, they would have had to take about 4 more dribbles, then try to make the pass. And again, slower, defense can recover. The one in the bottom right, I don't know what this pass is. No one was in the gym practicing this, but she basically reaches across with her right hand, and then it's an underhand snap pass. But look how contested Plum is. If this pass doesn't get there quickly, there's a stop and a pivot. Van der Sloot's there to block that shot or contest. So the ability to make these passes quickly in all directions is so crucial. And this is the thing I think I'm going to try to promote. And what I want to do is show you how we worked on it with a group of young players. So contending that we're now all playing with wider and deeper spacing. Deeper means a back from the 3-point line. So passing off the dribble with one hand, first of all, it's quicker. It gets there before the defense can react. When you bring your second hand to the ball, good defenders can start closing out. Second is you can be more powerful because you can throw the ball rather than push it. In fact, when some of these younger players start, they all want to try to turn it into a push, and they kind of turn and get it in like they're shot putting it. But once they realize, no, just reach and throw it, they had much more power and were throwing much longer passes than before. The other one is I can have variable release points up high, and I like to picture like a clock. I can release it at 12. I can release it at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can even almost go down at 6, like an underhand throw. So that ability to release at all angles makes it harder for the defense to read, and it also allows me to get different angles of passing around pressure. You just can't. If I have 2 hands on the ball, I can only extend that far. I'm limited by how far. I add my one hand, I can extend almost from elbow to wrist further. So very, very important to have that ability to get further extension in today's game to get around the type of defense that we're playing. The spacing rules that we're using, and again, I'm going to show what we were doing with our junior academy, which is a group of young players who are born in 2010, 11. So they're like 11 and 12-year-olds. And we also have some clips from our clinic we did in BC with their U17 and U15 targeted athletes. But the 3 rules that we really worked on were don't be in a space where one person can guard 2. And we would show them can one person guard this? Oh, yeah, okay. Now they'd understand. The circle rule, pushing and pulling. And then the other one, I love this one, is that the ball has eyes. And I actually take a ball and put some googly eyes on it. And you have to be in a window, not behind a door. And getting players to understand, yeah, you've moved to a space, but are you still in a door? There's those subtle little movements that they still have to make to adjust their position just enough so that they're now being seen by the ball. And if you're not being seen by the ball, sometimes it just be patient until the ball actually looks at you. Where do you need a space? And this helps them understand when they make a cut sometimes that they made a beautiful cut to the basket, but the ball wasn't looking, so it was just a wasted cut. So here we go. We'll start the show. So this is how we warmed up. So we just basically had them pushing and pulling, but all passes had to be off one hand, and they still had to connect. Now, this was their first time ever doing this. So yeah, there's a lot of things we need to work on, but I think they're starting to get this pretty good. And as we continue to go over our next sessions, we'll increase the spacing, we'll get better connections, we'll get better accuracy. But here they go. They're just going to circle, and you can see them making a nice hook pass. Oh, a little change of direction between the legs. Okay. Oh, left-hand hook. Yeah. So we had a right-hand hook, left-hand hook from the same player. Okay. Watch this one. A little underhand scoop. That's okay. So they're really working on just different release points, passing the ball, being pushed and pulled. Simple little warm-up, get them talking, get the heart rate up. Then we just loaded it in. Now we put 2 defenders. So exact same thing. Offense working on pushing and pulling. Has to be a one-hand pass. Defense, always try to get one person on the ball. Okay, using your verbals. I got ball. I'm in help, support, whatever where your verbals are. So the defense has some assignments too. So here they go again. They're being pushed and pulled, changing direction. Have to pass right away. They could be better at giving targets. That's one we'll keep working on. But lots of these little hook passes, little push passes, and you can see all the different angles that they have to throw from. And for these 2 little guards, especially, this was like a light bulb moment for them that they could actually find, oh, I can get around the defender to pass. Instead of have to stop and then try to pivot around them, I can use my quickness and my dribble and step around to pass. It's very, very helpful. Now I'm going to show just some of the problems we're seeing. So this was our 17-year-olds in BC. And as soon as we just said, okay, you're playing 2 and 2, here's some of the common things that I think you'll see with your teams too. First one is, in this situation, whoops, oh, I always go too fast. Is they'll go, whoops, back in, is they'll go behind. They want to run behind the ball all the time. So here you go, the drive, and they run behind the ball. Now, the problem with the running behind the ball is right here. There's 2 chances for this defender to steal it. She can steal it on the dribble, and she can also steal it on the pass. The worst example, now she wasn't too bad in this, is when they start to run before the person even gets there. In other words, they're lifting as the person dribbling, like a dribble handoff. And I think it's one of the biggest weaknesses we're seeing with a lot of basketball right now at the youth level is this always wanting to run behind the ball. And I understand why they want to do it. They want the ball. And you're usually open, but you're usually not an advantage. Now, this player did get a chance to drive after she got it. But again, it's kind of unrealistic with only 2 players on one side of the floor. Here, same 2 players, but now we talked about you need to find a window. Don't get where 1 player can guard 2. So you can find where now she's going to find the solution. So she pushes away, but now she knows she's not supposed to get where 1 guard 2. Oh, back door. She found a window. So that's more of how we want the players to think. Now we're getting into more of, if you want to call it a skill workout, but I always think that you're working on more than just one thing. You can just barely see down here in the bottom, is there going to be your offensive player? Her job is to work the defender. Now, somebody may say, yeah, but Mike, you're promoting just playing with the ball. No, I'm promoting working your defender. Make your defender move. Try to attack, pull back, cross, hesitate, fake. You're trying, because remember that beautiful space we have. We want to, at this age, work on being able to attack space and create an advantage off the dribble, because now we create those great options on the penetrate and kick, or penetrate and kick, or whatever you want to call it. So learning how to attack, but your passes had to be off one hand. And of course, our player off the ball has to be working on her spacing rule. She constantly should be adjusting, moving. So here you can see the little subtle movements. There's the attack. She decides to go back door. Fine. Okay, here's our next player. She's attack. You can see the other girl circling, make the pass and attack. So it's just a way to start to get them to understand how they have to be pushing and pulling each other, how you have to be able to attack your defender, and now make the pass. And to me, this is just a nice little layup line, if you want to call it. And you'll notice we had a coach in there as a scripted defender. I think it's always good when there's a body there to help them understand who and when they have to pass around. Okay, now here's just the same thing, but now they're attacking a little different, and you'll see a little different. So again, we're working our defender, work our defender attack, cut off, there's the hook pass. I love that pass. They, in the other weekends, they would never, ever, ever have passed to the person behind them without a stop, pivot, pass. And by the time they stop, pivot, pass, it's guarded. So learning to read and when to throw this hook pass was eye-opening and game-changing for a lot of these players. And I think you'll see it later on as we continue to grow in the practice. And again, this is their first practice ever doing this stuff. Now here's a back to our, this is the U15s in BC. Now they're going to work on attacking downhill. But what we want them to do is now they got to do a little step back to make their extension pass. So you're going to see them do it on air at first, but then a coach jumps in and becomes a guided or a scripted defender. And on the far side, you can have them work on different finishes. We do a lot with our junior academy players on what we call 10 shots from one spot. So there's 10 things you can kind of do out of one spot when you get the ball. And we always say, hey, working on your 10 spot shots. What are you doing now? You know, you can drive right and left out of it. You can do your pull-ups. You can do your step backs. You can catch and shoot. All kinds of things they can be doing off that spot. Okay. So we'll run it ahead and you can see here she's attacking. Try to attack downhill. Get to the nail. And there's that little step back. Okay. And there's a player working on her outside shot. Now here comes our scripted defender. Attack. Get downhill. Get downhill. There's our step back. Hook pass. Okay. Extension pass. Here again, we attack. Get downhill, step back to get the spacing, to make that pass, and away we go. So again, to me, just doing normal layup lines, you just don't get that anymore. So starting to add these things into your layup lines is very, very important because now you're working on a lot of different things. So this time, you're going to work your defender, and now what we want to work on is passing and moving away. So this is going to be, there's the pass. Now notice that the passer, she moves away. And it's just like everybody has a ball except the first person. So it's continuous. This is a great drill. Just to review, again, I put a guide in if I had, but you can see that they were just working on passing and moving away after they pass. I'm going to talk here a little bit later on about the give and goes and why I think we have to rethink give and goes a little bit. But you can see there's a pass. She's working on her hook pass there. Now she's got to move away after she passed. Now she went to the basket. Again, it's her first time doing it. We'd rather move away. Then the other side goes. So it's just continuous. And they're getting lots of shots, working on this passing off the dribble. And again, working on their movement in space after they pass. Here we were working on a step back, cross, attack into their hook pass. And one of the key things here you can see I put is this rhythm. We want to get into this 1, 2, 3. Too many players are taking too many dribbles to do these step backs. And the other one is just when you take a dribble, you're allowed more than one step. A lot of them think it's always one dribble, one step. If they can develop more faster feet and cover more ground, they really can get better space. And I think this is something we want to emphasize. So you can see she's attacked. Now here she goes, middle, step back, cross, pass. So there's a 3 count to it. Trying to get them to do it in 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's the rhythm we're trying to get. This one gets a good 1, 2, there's her hook. And again, it's on that step when they step back. If they get those quick 2 little steps back and then two quick step forward, but the rhythm of the dribble is 3, but they can cover more distance. But when they cover with the 1 step, sometimes they're not covering as much. So again, add it into their arsenal of little things they can do. Now, here's where we get into pass and cut. And I'm not saying pass and cut is something we should outlaw. What we have to help players understand is when to use a pass and a cut and why are you using. And it's not just a solution for everything you do. And that's the problem I'm seeing. It's becoming a habit that every time I pass, I cut to the basket. And it's causing a lot of problems with we're sometimes too slow to pass. And we're also, more importantly, too slow to exit. So let's just watch this and you can see. So here we go, pass, little, see how she has to circle around to go. Now, in this drill, it was 3-on-3 continuous. So they continue to play, pass, here's our cut, but she was already guarded. And now you can see we got no space on the far side. Okay, so we got all the defenders are in the key, pass, slow, cut, everything's crowded. Okay, and you can see that one of the main reasons is because we're too slow to pass. Okay, so we get it here. See how low we are? Like there's no give and go here now. We're so slow. That pass needed to be made earlier. That pass should have been made now. Like this should coming off her hand, but it's that second dribble, and it's too late because the defender, she already sees the defender is in a help position. That pass should have been made. But this is one of the issues too, is players, our habit is they don't have the vision. So we have to work on the vision. The other one are the exit cuts. We got to get out of there quickly so we're not leaving our defenders in the key. So you'll really see this. This was the very first time these 12-year-olds played 2-on-2. And you can see, and we're getting close to Halloween, how many creepy players there are. And a creepy player is the ones who keep walking in, walking in, walking in. And you'll see this very clearly here. Watch the creepy, creepy, creepy. See how she's walking in, and now she has to exit. Now the other player is going to be creepy. Look where they're catching the ball. Okay, so there's no space. So we really have to help them. And this is where, as coaches, we have to watch how they self-organize. And you can see the player here too want to run behind the ball. She kind of wants to, and there's a give and go. And see, no exit, no advantage. Okay. And that's, again, this is their first attempt. And I love the fact that she's attempting to throw a pass with her left hand off the dribble, because that's what the rule was. And it was a violation if it did. And they made lots of mistakes. And we were really patient with them. And you'll see how they continue to progress. But this idea of being creepy, so we had to continually put constraints in. And normally what we do is little violations. It's a violation if there's two people in the key, or we would say one person can guard two, violation, other team's ball. They'd pick it up very fast. But this is what we would call a teaching drill, where we're going to stop it a lot. It's a teaching. We're teaching. If it was more of a learning drill, we'd let them play through the mistakes a little bit. But early on, we had about one or two things. You had to pass off the one hand, and then we start to load in about the spacing. You couldn't have one person guarding two. Okay. Here is another classic example of pass and cut. And watch how there's going to be a pass to the forward, and then there's this automatic cut. And all it really did was take away the forward's chance to go one-on-one. And then the person filled, again, we have a position where one can guard two because she just filled right away. Okay, so again, I'm not saying you shouldn't cut when you pass to a post, but it's not just an automatic. Because right now, when she made the pass, she's not, I call it yo-yoing down into play in space. She's not cheating over, so stay in space. If she starts to go, you're in space, you get the hook pass out from the post. So I'd rather they're learning the solution of when I should cut rather than we always cut. And I think that's the important thing I think we have to work on, is helping players understand when to give and go. Now we're starting to help them understand what we want to do in a give and go. So our player at the top, it's 1-on-3. She's going to work on making her player move and try to get an advantage on the dribble. And we want to make an early pass while I still have the advantage. And the second thing is we want our give and go cut. We want it going to the basket. You'll see a lot of them. They end up making their cuts out to the old, if there's the A-shaped key, there's like on that angle. Okay, so let's watch, and you can see the first one's not too bad. She gets a van go, but she's still cutting a little wide. Probably wasn't open. They center the ball, and the defender just stays for this drill. But again, you're trying to, there's our cut. Okay, center the ball. You're trying to work your defender to make a good give and go. I think we get a good give, but our give and go is slow. See how she's slow? She had that little dance step. But again, this is their very first time doing this drill. I think you'll see in this one a little bit better how these are the in BC, they're a little older, but you can see she's working. There she gets the cut and she cuts. Now the defender was kind of a little bit of a statue in that, but I think you're getting the idea. She went and got the advantage off the dribble, and then she makes her pass and cuts at speed. That's the give and go. And a lot of times this happens more in transition. You're coming down, you get a little advantage, you kick it and keep running. Those are the type of advantage. And that pass was early. You could see that those passes were well above the foul line. So that's more of the type of give and go we want, rather than these deep penetration. You still cut and you're slow. It's like I always call it like you're the 18-wheeler that got into the traffic jam in downtown Winnipeg. And it's just everybody, all traffic has to stop. You exit the intersection. We needed you to get out of there a lot quicker. Be the sports car, pass, zing, zing, get out of there quick. Don't be the 18-wheeler clogging up the key. Okay, now it's just they were doing the same thing, but they're working now is get the advantage, and she cheats too far, hook it, and then cut. She was just a little slow to cut. So if they overcut you off, always be thinking about your hook pass. Think about your hook pass and then cut. Okay, so you can work it either way. Now we went to 3-on-2. And what we're trying to tell them now is no give and go. We just said no give and go in this one. So again, we put in constraints to see how they organize. And what you're going to see at first is our guard up here. She really lacks the vision to use her hook. You can see how open that hook is. And a lot of it, you can just tell her left side's not developed enough yet. Now this player, look, nice hook, nice pass. But again, watch this. The hook is open, but she's not seeing the hook. So again, as the day went on and we worked on it, she got more confidence to use that. This is the other one, is being willing to shoot the shot when it's open. But you can see right off the start here, this is a perfect, as we get our circle cut, this is a perfect chance for that hook. And as soon as she saw that this defender was in her vision, she has to know that that player's open. And that's that realization of the reading now, not just running a pattern. Okay, now they're playing 3-on-3. This is ugly. This is how it looks, but we got to let them wobble. So this was a learning drill. We were not stopping to correct. And you can see already how the defense is self-organized. That's not how we want to play defense, but that's how they self-organize into a pack line, because they know the offense is trying to work them. They're going to circle cut and they're doing all these things. So you have to be, sometimes when you're coaching offense, spend more time coaching the defense and be ready to put some restrictions or constraints on the defense to help grow your offense. At this one, we were just letting them focus on what we're working on. So see, that was more of a two-handed pass. We didn't stop it because it was a learning drill. Very right-handed. Oh, nice cross to go left. Okay, now it's continuous, so they keep playing. Again, look at the creeping in. She thought she had to do that move to get open. Okay, there's a circle behind, but we still get a nice drive left, so they're using their left hands for driving, and we get it in. Okay, so, and then they're playing right away. That was her version of a pass off the dribble. Okay, but they're starting to self-organize a little better. There's a push away. That was good. Gave space to attack. Okay, so they're starting under. There was a circle behind. So we're starting to see it, and that's what I mean. Be patient and let them wobble. But it's very important that these are the things. See this, like I said, this little cutting in to get open. And this is one of the biggest things is, I think, with younger players, is help them understand you're going to be more open if you play in space than if you're constantly cutting to the ball. But you have to help the other players understand that they have to pass it to those players when they are in space. Because if the only time you ever get the ball is if you run behind it, if you do a dribble handoff, that's what they'll always do. So you have to be patient with them and get them to understand. Stay in space, the ball will find you. Okay, so again, this is a classic. This was 3-on-3. This is the oldest group. I put this in because this is what you're going to see. I'm sure you all see it every day sometimes if you're not working on it. But watch how many times they'll run behind the ball. Run behind the ball. Look at this, and I know I see this all the time. See the dance of the run behind. You know, run behind, do another little dance, run behind, do the little dance. So that's what we're trying to get away. And I mean, I was at a university game this morning, and I'm seeing the same thing. People, only way they know how to get the ball is to run behind it. And good defense just shuts them down, and you're now running your offense with 10 seconds, under 10 seconds on your shot clock, and you end up forcing, because you haven't really created any advantages. You just get the ball back to the person who ran behind, but you still haven't created an advantage. So how do we keep our spacing, pushing and pulling without running behind and getting these advantages? So here we're going to show almost the same players in the same position. One, we're going to see a slow to exit, then we're going to see a sprint to exit. So here's our pass. We're working on now driving baseline. Okay, now watch out. See how slow our guard was go. So her defender's there to help. Let's go back and look at that. So we were starting to work on the exception. This is the exception to our circle rule. On a baseline drive, we have the drift. So we get a good drift pass, run hand pass off the dribble. But see how she stands and admires the pass for a bit? So that puts her defender in help position. And now she waits, and now she's slow to get out. So now on this penetration, one can guard two. And she's not in a position to receive the pass. Good job pushing away here. Okay, maybe just a little higher, because this is, again, she's in the right position, but now she just has to make the window, make a little better window. So that pass to me should have been made here off this first dribble. Like now that pass should be going. But again, we take one more step, one more dribble. So the more we get in the windows, the more confidence that passer is going to have. Now watch this, almost the exact same play, but watch the sprint to exit. Hook pass, watch the sprint. Now she's out there. Now the defense is closing. Now she gets to attack the middle. Oh, look at the good push away. Get a good one-on-one at the rim. So just that one thing of sprinting to exit made a huge difference. And this is where you as a coach has to really be focused on these things. And again, let's watch our push away. Again, just there's probably the window. She can't go to that window because she's there. Or this player could do the back cut and give this player the space. But they have to, again, find the window. And again, if there was a pass, it should have been here. But she had the advantage. I don't think she had to pass. She did the right decision. She can go one-on-one at the rim. We'll take that all the time. Okay, this is golden. This is, to me, the best clip. This is the way the game has to be played a lot of times when you don't have the give and goes. Watch that, what's going to happen. We're going to make our pass, work our defender, watch her move away. Other player moves away. There's the pass. Ring the bell. That's modern basketball right there. Now, that doesn't mean she had to shoot it, but that defender is responsible to jump to the ball in the pass. Every one of us teaches that. See, she jumps to the ball. But when you're moving away, you're actually putting pressure on her to make space. And now we've got these windows. Now she's got to, again, be in this window here. And now we make that pass right away. And now she's got to close out. She's caught in bad space. She's got to get out of there. Don't be running in on this cut and take away the back cut or take away this way. She's got to move away also. Move away. Move away after you pass. Okay? It's a very, very important concept that we're working on. So now we're going to let them compete 4-on-4. You can see them playing here. And I love this. They're not going to guard you, shoot the ball. And this is one that you got to punish the way the defense self-organizes. So we encourage them, shoot the ball and make the defense guard. So again, we get an attack to the middle because there's good spacing. She gets to run her little floater. Here they go. They're attacking. We would never have seen this pass. Watch this hook pass. We would never have seen this before. She would never fought. And watch this. Watch this next pass. We would never have seen that pass. Now we ring the bell for 3. Again, these are 12-year-olds. And that's because they're encouraged to find solutions by passing off the dribble instead of stop, pivot, set it up, run our offense. And again, I know there'll be some people like, but I don't like that. They're going to turn it over. Remember, we're trying to develop them for the future of the game. And if they can learn this at 12, 13, just think what they're going to be when they're like playing on our senior national team or playing in our pro league that we have when they're that age. So now we're into day 2. That was all on the first day. Now we're into day 2. So this is just working on now the forward. I really think we should be developing more forwards. And a forward to me is like a Brianna Stewart. A forward is a player who can play on this dunker spot, but also play up in the high post, who can step out, can shoot the 3, can handle the ball. Don't think of a forward as a person who plays with their back to the basket. There has to be forwards in the game, especially as you go to, I think, all levels. There has to be some people who can set some screens. You have to have some mismatches in size. If you just think you're going to space the floor 5 players and do all these things, people just switch everything. And there has to be some way that we can play with these forwards. And first one we work on is the dunker spot. And we're not really circling far. We want to stay with this duck in. So she just ducks in, and we want that. We want the high percentage finish instead of a big circle. Okay, see the seal? But because there was a cheat, now the second defender come in, we can make the skip to the corner. Okay, this is advanced, but if your defender decides you're so good, if you're so good that I'm never going to leave you, yes, we will want you to circle a bit because you're taking that defender out of position. So if you know that they're not helping, give space so that there can't be help. Make it like there's no option. Just by that's the only time you really want them circling far. Now here you can see this is what the players want to do. This is what we want to first. Just be there in the dunker spot and duck in. But this is what a lot of players want to do. They want to do this circle. Now, our contention is that that's a lower percentage shot. Okay, that's a lower percentage shot. The second thing is a second defender can often rotate in to make that a tough catch. So we want to make sure that we're trying to get the high percentage and not allowing a second defender in place. If she drives middle, you can see the options. Again, she's going to stay. She's there for good rebounding position. Again, here's the pass. She can duck in on the other side, get rebounding position. And sometimes if there's a window, find the open hole. She just opened up to the defender. But notice that she went behind the defense, under the basket. So just finding those little windows on that drive. This is one of my favorite. Watch the little movement that she's going to make. And notice how she's going to change sides by going behind. Watch the little duck-ins, little movement, duck in. Oh, not there. Okay, little subtle movements. Oh, I'm going to duck in again. I'm ready to go. Oh, I'm going to be ready to duck. I'm there. I'm going to circle behind the defense's head. Kick it out diagonal. Now I'm going to play again. Get to the dunker. Look how she got back down behind. I'm hiding. I'm changing direction. Being behind her head. There's my duck in again. That was amazing. That was on one day. Now I know she did that at U15s at nationals too, but she really understands it's not going down there and standing still. It's those subtle finding windows. She's constantly moving to find the windows, and that's so important. Okay, now she's in the dunker, and watch her move to find windows. Again, look at the little subtle move. She's behind the head. Look at that little duck. That's beautiful basketball. So we want to teach players that. And it's a simple concept, but you have to position yourself to coach that. And you'll watch here. So before we get to that, this was just a quick little review we did with the players. So they're playing one-on-one. They're going to try to work on beating their defender, but the defense is working to cut her off. Once she cuts her off, she sprints the space and becomes a shooter. So we love trying to do more than one thing in a drill. So in this drill, they're working on offense, working on moving your defender. The defender's working on ball pressure, shocking the ball using your hands. Then she's going to work on a cutoff. Then she becomes a sprint to space. The passer now has to pass off the dribble. And now all that shooter's working on all those good preliminary action, getting ready to shoot. Remember I said she can work on all of her 10 shots from one spot. So here they go. They're going to play one-on-one, working her. There's a shot using her hand. Now she sprints to space, hook pass. There's our shot. 5-second drill. But man, look at all the things you're getting from it. Instead of just somebody standing on the basket, pass it to the shooter. So really trying to load in a lot of little things that you need to work on within a little 5-second review drill. So now they're working on 3-on-2, pass and cut, attack baseline. So now we're working on that exception. So you can see there's our attack. She's attacking. There's our circle baseline. She passes it back out, attack the middle. There's our pass. Give space. Look at the move away. I love how they moved away. She just needed to make that pass a little sooner. That's the one. They still have a tendency to get too low. So again, I'll show it right about. We made our good baseline right. This is where the pass. This is where she needs to be making her decision. Are you going to make the window here? Or are you going to stay out of the 3? See how she's creeping? Again, be up here. Really make it tough. But see how they want to creep? But we still get a fairly good. But she needed to make that pass sooner. Okay? Taking notice of this word up here. It's not on the wall. It's on my screen. Because we did our off-court session on resiliency. So again, they're working 3-on-2. There's our pass. Oh, she knew to move away. Okay, pass. This time she went for a give and go. There's the shot. Now they keep playing. They got the rebound. Oh, she found a window. Makes a nice crossover, goes to score. And why I put resiliency in there, if you watch right here when she shoots the shot, look right there. Look at the body language after the miss. And you can't hear it, but the coach is down there saying next play, because that's what we talked about in our session was next play mentality. Hey, next play, right? And then down here, they're just playing their 3-on-2 also. Good little spacing, get the nice shot. Okay, so we're just building it up. Now we're working in the dunker. We have a coach here giving a guide. Coach can fake help or they can help. And now they've got to make the read. All the players up here should be dribbling. And I want you to notice we try to get our coaches down here coaching that dunker spot when we're in a learning or teaching drill. Okay, so here they go. And this time he doesn't help, so she reads to go all the way. Okay, the next one, again, we're helping her understand her positioning. Okay, so there she's got to be in the right position. See, now there's the help. A little stuff, fumble on the pass, that's okay. They're learning for the first time how to play the dunker. Now we're going 3-on-2, driving baseline. There's a nice hook pass, extra pass. Okay, so they're learning how to play. Now we got a new drive, new position. Now she's driving, picked it up a little, but good pass into the dunker spot. Okay, now it's the drive is middle. So now the drive middle. Oh, one can't guard two, find the window. Extra passes, but again, she was creeping a little bit. See, you can still see they like to creep. But again, they're 12 years old and they think they have to go where they have to go to shoot. A little bit staying in the dunker, a little great rebounding position. That's the other thing for a lot of these tall, young 12-year-olds. Man, now they're getting touches. Sometimes they go play on their teams. They never touch the ball in the 5-out. They never touch it, but now they were starting to get some touches. So now we were playing 3-on-3. They can have a choice. They're going to go middle or they're going to go base. So she attacks. There's our pass in. Now, this girl's about 6'4". We want them to throw it high. And we kept mentioning, you'll see my very last clip when they finally learned to throw it high to her. Okay, so now they were going 3-on-2 continuous. Okay, they had to pass. Oh, that's okay. Keep playing. You're learning. 3-on-2 continuous, all one-handed passes. Oh, nice left-hand hook. They never would have done that. Well, she's a lefty. Okay, but she still will never thrown that hook. Now they're going the other way, 3-on-2. But they're also learning that we want to try to keep getting somebody to the dunker spot, right? Get to the basket. So I found when we start to transition, there became a lot more of these passes. Okay. And there again, we're trying to get somebody down and close to the basket, ready for the rebound. Now the only difference in this was we extended the pressure. Now we want the defense. You'll notice yellow. Watch how they pick up quickly. Again, we got somebody to the dunker. Watch how the white team, see, look, they pick up right away. Makes it tougher. Okay. Oh, turnover. Okay, we love the turnovers. They were trying to do the right thing. Celebrate it. And now they're playing again. Now they're coming down the other way. And again, try to extend the pressure. Again, work your defender, make the pass early, push away. Okay, look at that baseball pass. I love the fact that they're attempting to throw those. Right, little pocket pass. Another little pocket pass off the dribble. So much quicker. You can see the ball moving a lot quicker. Now we are playing on a drill we call 4-on-3 with a flyer. So it's 4-on-3. You can't see it, but there's a fourth blue player out here who has a big advantage. So it makes, I used to get tired of saying, get back on defense. So I always put a flyer there. And if orange doesn't get back on defense, blue can throw it down. I think I'm unmuted.
Yeah, you're okay, Mike. Now go ahead.
Okay. And I'll go back to it here. Just got a couple more. So now they're playing, now it's 4-on-4. Again, we want the ball pressure. They got to work on, and you'll see that this is when they still over dribble. But you can see one of the things we have to work on is there's still a tendency not to run the floor because they run backwards all the time wanting the ball. That's one thing you'll find is instead of sprinting down the floor and expecting they'll get it, they kind of run looking backwards because they want the ball. So again, we push up, and again, see, this is the over dribbling. And again, weak with the left hand, struggle. That's okay. Now we're going to come the other way, push it up. And again, we got somebody down to the dunker, but she decided to duck in. Nice move for a 12-year-old. Okay, so we're working on, again, teaching them how to play. Now, this is just to show you. Here we had, it was at 5-on-5. It was the light blue versus yellow, and you can see the blue team and the white team are subs. They have a little sheet here, and it's just a plastic sheet with this catch people doing things right. So we wrote in our points of emphasis for each scrimmage. So maybe this one was our push-pull action, resiliency, and maybe it was ball pressure. And all they do is they put a little tick every time they saw somebody doing it right. They'd put a tick mark. And then they could also put notes and spotlights. So if somebody did something really good, they would make a note about that person. At the end of the 5-minute scrimmage, they go in and deliver the report to the other team before the coaches. Before the coaches even speak, the most important feedback comes from their teammates. And they go in with statistics. Here's what we saw, and here's what you can do better. I think that is so powerful for these young players to start developing a voice. The other thing is it's really developing their eye. They have to really pay attention to what they're supposed to watch for, because they have to go up and speak. And they know if they're going in there with fluff, it's not going to be respected. So that's just them giving their debriefs. Okay, this is the last one. This is 5-on-5. This is my favorite clip. I want these passes would never have happened. This kind of spacing would never have happened. And this is only after 2 days of practice. So the ball's going over. First of all, she's looking like a quarterback. She's ready to throw long. Oh, not there, but she still throws it instead of pushes it. Left-handed. Remember her earlier on struggling? Watch this little one. Right off the dribble, passes it high to our tall player. Oh, she's double team. High hook pass by her. Nail the 3. Man, that's great basketball. And again, the freedom that they now understood when they could throw the ball versus pushing the ball. I can do this with my left hand. I can do this with my right hand. Oh, I can do it quicker off the dribble. Oh, I give spacing. I can't let one person guard 2. I got to move to space instead of always clogging trying to get the ball. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch. And I think it's the way that we have to go with the game.
I'm a brand new coach coaching 8-year-olds this season. What should my number one focus be with the team this year? 8-year-old, brand new coach, sounds like never really coached before at all.
Make them want to come back the next day. Make it fun. There's smiles on their faces, a little bit of red cheeks because they've worked, and there's that look of wonder, like, man, I love this. I can't wait for next week. So building the climate that makes it fun, inclusive, everybody's feeling part of it. Don't start saying you're the best players, you're the weak players. Oh, you're not allowed to do this, and make it like a wonder, like, wow, look at all the things I've learned today, and letting them start to use their voices and things like that. Doesn't matter all the other stuff, as long as they want to keep coming back. You're doing the right thing at that age.
Great. Next question in the Q&A here. I'll jump back to that, and I got mine. I'll hold mine, other ones here for the end if there's still more. There's a bit of a debate regarding rim height for 12 to 14-year-olds. Some coaches think we should lower the rim to 9 feet. What are your thoughts on this?
This is one you'll never win because we can't get all 9 and 10 and 12-year-olds to grow at the same rate. If we could just put a law in, I think we could go to our governments and just say, could you pass a law where everybody would grow at the same rate and be the same strength and the same speed? It would make it so much easier for us administrators. We could just administrate this and make it fair for everybody. It's never going to be fair for everybody because there's going to be some of those players, it's too low. There's going to be some, it's too high. And in general, what you try to do is find out it's like the Goldilocks. What's the best just right for the most of the players? And the problem is as administrators, we'd like it to be absolute. Well, 13, we do this. At 12, we do this. And some cohorts, it should be higher. The problem when you play with two low of a basket for too long is players can develop a shot that comes out, they can get away with shooting very flat trajectory shots. And then it becomes very difficult. So I prefer a higher basket, but play with a lighter ball at around those younger ages, instead of playing with a too low of basket and a heavy ball. Because it also impacts the pass. Like if we try to do this passing with young kids with a heavy ball, it's like throwing a medicine ball around. But if they take those lighter balls, right, smaller hands, lighter ball, smaller circumference, yeah, they can accomplish it. So I know I didn't answer the question, but I think it's where the people in the league have to start worrying about, well, what's best for my team and what's best for right now for this cohort of players. And when you get to certain ages, it's the tricky one because of when they get growth spurts in that.
Right. Next question there, Coach. With young girls, what are the best activities to build power in passing and shooting?
Well, the problem with a lot of shooting is we've taken what I'm going to say is this idea that there's this one perfect shot form that everybody has to come from. And the idea of this set point above the head, that the ball had to get to this set point. Well, I'd even say young boys, you can't. So what happens is, it's hard to show here, but if I get back a little bit, but if my start here, my body gets to a point that says, I don't have the power. So you're going to see these kind of shot put. The only way I can get a backswing to get force generation is to pull it in. Or you see the players on the side, they'll pull it in here. Well, if this is your backswing, when you force generation, it's going to go straight out. And so we need to have somewhere where there's a backswing where they can dip the elbow back towards the hip. So now that when it goes up, there's that power. But we've coached the backswing out of a lot of our players in their shooting. The same thing in passing. If all we ever allow them to do is a push pass from in here, they're going to hit a limit where they can no longer generate power. So somewheres we have to start to get them to understand how to throw the ball. And again, throw it from up high, throw it from like a sidearm baseball throw. So sometimes just a simple wall passing is a great way to just get them to start to learn how to throw. And again, if they're not playing a lot of different sports, they may not be learning throwing. I'm not sure what the phys ed specialists are anymore in Manitoba, but sometimes it's the art teacher teaching phys ed or the French teacher teaching phys ed, and they're not teaching a lot of these movement skills anymore sometimes. And so a player may not have the proper throw mechanics, and therefore they're going to be limited in their solutions. So we have to, as coaches, sometimes trying to, as I would say, hide the veggies in the spaghetti sauce on how to properly throw a ball.
Okay, next question, Coach. How much are your younger girls doing regarding athletic training, including flexibility, agility, and speed?
Well, we started the weekend with prehab, where they were given a circuit on like planks, how to properly, the shoulder. We were doing some band work with their shoulder. They were doing some, balance on one foot. So we did a little circuit, and they're supposed to do it about once or twice a week. They do this little prehab circuit. We always do every weekend. We'll review that each weekend. We also will do some fitness testing with them, and then we'll show them some simple body weight things that they can be doing for working on their different levels of fit or types of fitness. And then we always do movement prep. And a couple of the big ones we're focusing on in movement prep is, of course, is always a proper hip hinge, do a proper squat and proper lunges. The other one we're finding shoulders is the idea of pulling the shoulder, like the rounded shoulders, but pulling some wall angels to open up the shoulders. Very, very important. And anything around the core, but planks and how to activate their core is very, very important. So those are some of the things we're really focusing on. And the other one I would say we're focusing on is just the whole changing directions, changing speed, because that's basketball today. So you've got to be quickly able on defense and offense to change speeds and direction. So proper little footwork to changing speeds and direction.
Okay, great. I've got one here that was sent to me directly. What are some good decision-making rules for starting out with 3v3 small-sided games? Decision-making rules.
Well, the first thing is, if I'm focusing on the defense, we put in our 3 reels of defense. We must protect. Somebody's got to protect the basket, or they all have to protect the basket and how you position yourself. Somebody has to pressure the ball, and somebody's got to be in support. And you have to verbalize that. And then we just say you can't be in the same position 2 times in a row on a pass. So they always have to start to understand, I got the ball, I'm in help, I'm support. And now that allows our offense to start to play. And then on the offense, it's to me to start, what are you going to be focusing on? Are you going to start to give the offense an advantage, small advantage, and then they play off of that? Or is it going to be like we were doing, where the offense has to create the advantage, is what we're trying to get these players to do. And now we're working on our spacing rules. Remember, 1 can't guard 2, working on your circle, working on this idea that you have to find a window, don't be in a door, those sorts of things. So it's coming up with what's your point of emphasis on offense and defense. I like to try to do both things at once. Not always feasible at younger ages, but at least having some rules in that they can play from. And maybe your assistant coach can focus on the D where you focus on the O. And then it's just putting in your little constraints. Oh, violation, 2 people in the same space. Oh, 1-handed pass. That was a 2-handed pass. Violation. Defensive violations is sometimes it's like, oh, you got to stay on defense. No, do it again. You got to go again.
Okay, great. Next question. If you had to pick 1 or 2 drills for a high school girls program to build a motion offense, what would they be?
By motion offense. I don't call them drills anymore. I just don't. I don't think it's about the drill. It's about, I'd call it the principles of play for what we're going to do. So the principles of play are really simple. What's the spacing that we want when we're on offense? Now you can break it down by 3s and 2s and 1s or 4s, whatever, but there's a spacing. Where do you want the players spaced? Then there's the movement. How do you want the ball to move and the players to move? And then what's the timing and sequencing? So as long as you're doing 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4s, and you're focusing on spacing, movement, and the timing of those things, those are your drills. But I would not say that the 3-on-2, 2-on-1. Like, no, it's just whatever you're doing to break down the game. Always start with those things. What's my spacing we need to be in to play? What's our movement? And what's our timing and sequencing of this different movement of the ball and the players?
All right. I got 3 left. So coaches, this is your final call to get something in here. But we got 3 more questions still to go through. Outside of the shell drill, I used maybe the wrong word, the shell. What is your favorite drill for helping, for help and help the helper rotations? Favorite drill for help and help the helper rotations.
Well, again, I know I'm going to sound like, well, coach, you're not giving me anything, but I really think the more you get away from the idea of a drill and play little games that are part of what you do. I think when you do too much of a static shell, the only time you ever see all those scripted rotations is when you're in a shell. It's more getting them to understand the concept of what we're trying to do. Somebody's on the ball, somebody's at help, and the others are in a support position. When someone drives, the help is going to help if it's needed, and the support have to go and help the helper. Because your position, whoever's in the support and help, it always changes each time. So no matter what you're doing, whatever offensive drill you're running, defensive drill, those concepts, and that's your shell drill. Now, there's nothing wrong with starting in a 4-on-4 shell like we've always done. No, that's nothing wrong. But it's where you script it that we always do this, you come here, you do that. Because the other one I find is the players get used to the idea that, oh, I get beat all the time and then somebody's helping and we're always in rotation. The more you don't have to be in rotation, the better your defense is. So I'd rather spend more time on that drill I was showing with one-on-one, and don't get beat off the dribble. Because if in today's game, if you get into rotation, I don't care how good you practice help and drop, and that's what the offense I'm working on with these young players. They're just going to zip, zip, zip the ball, and you're always closing out, and you're in trouble. So yeah, you have to have that scramble in there sometimes, but ideally we're trying to get where we don't have to get into rotation and really working on containing the ball, being in a position that you can take that away. And I think Victor will show some of that when he does his presentation. There's a little bit in there in some of the defensive transition, how you're trying to get where you get your defense set and prevent all this penetration and scrambling right away.
All right, our second last question. What are some ways to develop shot rhythm or rhythm dip in your shooting work?
A simple one is to start with just, instead of a self-toss where the ball bounces, just a light little toss up in the air. Because now when you catch it, the elbow will come down and they'll get that little bit of a rhythm. Okay. The other one is just doing some of the, and if you ever get a chance, you're lucky enough to go to watch some pros work out before a game, like if Brianna Stewart just had one out before the WNBA finals, where she's doing a lot of these kind of hopping before she shoots, and that's, I call it like you're just on you're skipping rope, and then these little hop shot, and you're pumping the ball a little bit just to develop that rhythm. Okay, and then it's like you can hop from facing it to the side, like you're twisting as you hop. Steve Nash used to do a lot of those, but it's again, it's not always just on 2 feet. I think you can be a pivot shooter, still get a rhythm. You can be a 1-2 footwork, or you be a hop. And so the players are starting to learn. We work on this in junior academy. You have to have all 3 of those kind of footworks, but you have to have that dip, that down up, that explosive elastic energy in all parts of your body. So it's just making sure that they feel, instead of this static, and then it's like I say, the push shot put.
All right, one more question here for you. When using the dunker in quotes, what are some specific types of scoring options for them to develop and work on?
Well, the reason we call it the dunker is because we have female players who can actually dunk. And there's nothing you'll get more excitement out of young female players when they know there's another female out there who can dunk. And it's like a role model. It's inspiring. And when they see a player dunk on a female, they get excited. So somebody said, "Oh, you shouldn't call it the dunker because women can't dunk." I'm like, "Well, you haven't really been watching Canadian women's basketball, because there's a couple players who can dunk, and we're going to have more." So the big one is that duck in. It's just that duck in, and it looks like it's simple. It's just that layup at the rim. That's the number one thing they're going to get. And that's what we want, instead of that 5-foot shot where they back away or they circle up too far. The second thing they're going to get is the offensive rebound, because they're going to be in the hot spot most of the time for any of those misses off those little layups or floaters. They have the best rebounding position. That's the thing we're going to start with. The next one, and you start to see it in the clip there, is sometimes now if the defense decides, oh, I got to be flatter, they get down flat as low, now I can step in and duck in. Right? So they're learning now, oh, now I know when I should duck in. They also are learning how to cut behind the defense's head, and now they can either be open in the dunker spot, or they can go behind and duck in. But it's also teaching them just sprint to that spot, sprint the floor, get ahead of the offense and the defense. And it's just with some of these younger, taller players, it's like, wow, I get to touch the ball now. I have a purpose. And their teammates start saying, yeah, when she's down there, she's valuable. But when she stands out on the wing because, oh, we're going to make everybody a guard, everybody a perimeter, it's not building the confidence of these young players.
All right, I have 2 more that are to me. So last call, coaches. Anybody else listening that would want to throw something in? But this is your last call for us to sneak in before we wrap things up with Coach Mike and move over to Coach Victor. Last one, 2 I've got here. At what age do you think, in your opinion, should scorers start to be kept in basketball?
Well, they're going to keep score anyways. Like, they'll know the score. Like a lot of kids, they'll know the score, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But it's the emphasis you put on it. I don't think there's anything wrong with keeping score. it's more when the emphasis on that the person who scores is the most important person. That's the danger, I think. I think it's when we emphasize that all the other things. So we give out awards at camp. We're not giving out awards for high score. We're giving out awards, we call it ICE, for who had the best intensity, who had the best concentration, who had the best energy. I'm also leaning towards where I know some place they call them like a, I would say junior academy assist. Who set good screens to get somebody open, right? Who got the most box outs, right? Who was the person who denied their player the best? So the more that you catch people doing things right that are not the scoring, then I don't think it's important. Like if you keep score, not keep score, right? And I think you're smart enough to if it's a blowout, yeah, shut the scoreboard off, because that, again, it's more the coach and the parents who get upset. I think kids can handle that kind of stuff, but it's how coaches sometimes take it, or a parent, because they get embarrassed. Kids can usually handle. The issue has become when people pick all-star teams at young ages and stack one team so they can beat everybody 60. That's more the danger than keeping the score. Okay? So anyways, that's just some of my rants on that topic.
All right, the last one. This is my question I've got, because sort of dovetailed from Coach Mike Taylor just before you here in Winnipeg here with our first CBL team this last summer. Got a little taste for the target score ending, or the ELAM ending score, which is now starting to filter a little bit through the game, a little bit, maybe just in different versions or not. But your opinion on that, and how that may change the game if we were to fast forward 10 years, or is this going to be a thing, or is this a passing thing?
It's been debated. I think there's starting to be a little bit of some of the problems that come out with it. I do think it can create some excitement, but I also think it does change the game. It's a totally different game in the last little bit. I really don't have an opinion on it, Adam, until I actually go in and study it a little more. And I would rather say that I don't think it's always good to have a viewpoint on something when you don't have the information enough to put it. I can give you a view, but I don't think it's a fair view that I would want to taint the conversation until, because I'm the type, I'd want to go look at the stats. I'd want to really go back and really look at it and then see, is that really good for the development of the game? Is it good for all ages to do it? Is it just at the top end? So I think there needs to be a little more research. It's like, I remember they were talking about raising the basket height to 12 feet. Just randomly thought, oh, this would be a good thing. And they never really thought it through. Like, okay, but first of all, how are we going to do that infrastructure? Is that every gym in the world now has to raise a basket by 2 feet? Who's paying for this? And and then is that going to be for every age group? So need a little more research before I could answer that.
All right, I'll hold you to that. And the next time we have you out, whether it's virtual or in person. Yes. But I think that will officially wrap up our time. I'm just going to switch my screen here so we can keep moving. Yeah, so thanks, Coach, for being part of us this afternoon and weighing in on your insight on this topic and many others.